Rex Pickett is a wonderful writer. He's the author of Sideways and the sequel Vertical, and Sideways made into the great film, which many of you have probably seen. When you start rolling when you started working on Sideways, what did you have specifically when you began?
I had, when I started, it's nice of you to say, by the way, about being a wonderful author, because after 110 rejection letters on 3 rounds of submissions, even after it had been greenlit, I wasn't such a wonderful author for 5 years. But anyway, so that's all after the fact now. But when I wrote Sideways, I had everything, literally everything. I mean, it was, it's kind of a long story. I'm going to try to abbreviate it, but in the 80s, I wrote and directed 2 feature films that my ex-wife produced and starred in and whatever. And the second one was released by Island Pictures, and they butchered it and it bombed for whatever reason. And my life was nowhere, and my mother had a massive stroke, and my younger brother took over her care and took over her savings, and my agent died of AIDS, and then some really bad things happened. No. And I actually, yeah, okay. So then I actually I got back into the game of golf. I know this is, I'm gonna cut to the chase really quickly, and you can't play golf around here if you're not a member of a private country club and whatever. So I started going north, and I ended up at a place called La Purissima, which means the pure one, and it's right in Sideways Central. And this was like 1990, and I would go up and play golf, come back, it's like 300-mile drive, and so I said, well, I might as well stay overnight. So I'd stay at the Windmill Inn. It was the cheapest place to be, and the golf course is gorgeous. There's no homes on it. It was just me and the course. I just needed to clear my head after 8 years of making 2 feature films. The marriage dissolved as a result of that, and I went up with a friend of mine named Roy Gittins, an electrician, and he is the Jack character, the Thomas Hayden Church character. And at some point, we were going from tasting room to tasting room, and he said, you should write this as a screenplay. So I wrote it as a screenplay, and it was called 2 Guys on Wine, and it didn't work, and I didn't even show it to my agent. And then I started writing a short story that literally took place 3 blocks down here at Epicurus, a wine store where every Saturday they had tastings in the back in this little cordoned off area. And it was written in first person from the standpoint of a character named Miles. And the tasting kind of degenerates into a brawl, and it was funny. It was a snobby group. That's another story. And as soon as I finished that short story, and we're talking now from the first time I went up to the entire San Ynez Valley to the time I wrote that short, this was an 8-9 year period, and I stood up from that short story. I said, holy crap, this would be the prologue to the novel. It will be written in first person, and I wrote it in 9 weeks. So literally, it was that moment that it just rolled.